Hey guys, how you doing? This is Mark with Behind Closed Doors. Everybody can get it. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? I'm your guy. I'm back at you guys, man. Hey, this is a podcast series that I put together for my caregivers of the world. You know, folks that take care of people that can't take care of themselves. That you are now live. This is my podcast on YouTube. Right, we're young, we're growing. But, you know, like I said, I don't want a whole lot of material. I want just the right material, you know what I mean, coming into this podcast. So, you know, man, you come on in, join the movement, guys, man. This is real talk, though, you know what I mean? You got kids in the area. You probably want to shift them out the way or something because, you know, we tap in on real subjects and real shit. So I'm just being honest, guys, right? Today, before I dive into that, guys, I always give the caveat about myself, right? I am a sandwich caregiver. I caregave at one point for up to three people at one point, right? Now I'm down to two, just my 11-year-old son, and you know I have a special needs brother as well. That's, you know, he's getting his stuff done. You know, he's out here, he's making some things happen. Of course, I caregive from afar with him as things have got much better now. But yeah, nevertheless, guys, yeah, this is a podcast series that I did put together, hopefully to bring some insight, hopefully to shake things up, and to obviously, you know, in some cases, just make some change if necessary. Behind closed doors. Behind closed doors itself, the movement all started with with the young man and this book and my mom, right? You know, caregiving really got real, you know, having my mom around, you know, she passed away early last year, right? And, man, you know, one thing I can say out of that, you know, I mean, her journey, right? Me moving her here and getting her ready, basically transition her on out of here, right? That's pretty much what the last year or so of her life was, which was here in Arizona. So, guys, I'm going to dive in. This has been a hot ass topic that's been rolling off of my Instagram. You got to tap in, man. We have a post there that, you know, well, almost 2 million views right now. It's my wife, right? You know, she was having a moment, and it went viral, to say the speak, right? I don't get excited on viral. What I got excited on is the amount of people that conversated, right? Because on my Facebook platform, you know, I get a lot of likes and I get a lot of other stuff, right? But I rarely get people that actually, you know, I guess get some feedback, right? Help me help you, right? I mean, you know, but you know, whatever. I respect the population. You know, I ain't putting no gun in your head and telling you to talk. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, that's generally how you get things moving. And I know, but I do know, you know, I do understand as well that you got people that, you know, that's just their learning mechanism, right? They just sit back and listen, and that's okay because I'm gonna give you some shit to listen to today. All right, speaking of that, guys, today's subject, we're going to be talking about, man, a much needed, right? I mean, I got a ton of Down syndrome families, cerebral palsy families. I got other than autistic, right? I tons of people with different diagnoses and everything. And the common question and run across the common threads is why in their city, state, wherever they're at, right? It's saturated with autistic related services and everything else. They got to search high and low. Well, that's just a piece of it, right? Because the other piece of it is now it puts parents and caregivers in positions where, you know, and like I said, guys, I'm about to keep it real. Buckle up, get your shit together. They either got to lie or they have to manipulate or they have to do something to finagle to try to get autistic in the you know, the diagnosis just to get the help that they need to get. Right, specifically ABA. You know, I mean, it's not strange at all how, you know, like I said, I'm in the, you know, the state of Arizona, and you got a boatload of services and shit for autistic individuals, but damn, you got to look high and low, you know, to try to get something else for Down syndrome or something to that effect. I'm gonna talk Down syndrome and ADHD, right? I can talk that because that's what my son has, right? That's where I did a lot of my study, a lot of my work, and a lot of my passion comes from that. And And guys, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating as hell. It really is, like ABA, our son, right? They just deem kiddos with Down syndrome. They're just easygoing and they don't do nothing. They don't have no problems. They don't do shit. They don't tear your house up. They don't get pissed off at you. Yes, Down syndrome kids do that. The news flash, they do that. And, maybe differently, or maybe not even to the extent of individuals with autism, right? But I guess the cool part about us, we're kind of a unicorn as it comes to the diagnosis realm, because Mark has all three of those, what I just told you, right? And we kind of get slid through the back door because it's behavior. ABA is behavior related. So they if I just say, oh, well, Mark has Down syndrome, it's an emphatic no, like don't even sign the application, don't come in, don't even come to our facility. As a matter of fact, I'm hanging the phone up on your ass, right? But the minute that we try to tie it into behavior, so I'm going to say this, right? You know what I mean? And one thing about it, I don't want to get on this podcast or any of my platforms and try to perform something unethical or something like that just to receive services. But I must be real. Usually, individuals with Down syndrome, usually it's a high percentage, and I'm gonna provide all the notes and everything right here for you guys to see it. You do your own homework though, right? But I'm gonna give you a little something to kind of help walk us through this whole process. And the deal is, most Down syndrome, I do run a nonprofit organization, Down Syndrome Forgotten. So I specifically deal with Down syndrome families and Down syndrome individuals, right? So there you go, right? There go my qualifier. And I have my own kid, right? You know what I mean? Of course, we even have Down syndrome kiddos in our family, right? It kind of runs around a little bit. But nevertheless, guys, totally challenging. And what I was about to say was this. Sorry, I got off track. Most of the kiddos with Down syndrome more than likely have ADHD. I'm just telling you guys right now, check it out, blah, blah, blah. Because sometimes when we get kiddos or individuals with a diagnosis, like let's say I have a kid has Down syndrome. I'm a new parent to Down syndrome. I don't know shit else about anything else, correct? Right? So if my kid exhibit autistic behaviors, I'm just going to assume that this is all part of the Down syndrome process, right? I'm not going to know any damn better until somebody say, hey, you know what, man? I think your kid, man, has autism or something. Like somebody pointed it out to me one time, right? Good friend of mine kind of pointed out, like, Mark, I think. And then once we, like I said, from a school perspective, right, on this IEP, we actually got that added on there. Now, of course, we got work to do. We got to find from a diagnosis from a state standpoint, we got to get in to see an official doctor and get something stamped. But they did a MET eval on him at school and all that. I mean, it's clear cut. He has it. But my point is, most of those kiddos have ADHD. Why I bring that up? Because ADHD is behavior-related stuff, right? That merits ABA. So at one time, Mark was getting ABA. This was probably around COVID. Shit hit the fan, services dropped, blah, blah, blah. That was that, right? And we never really fired it back up again. We started homeschooling and started doing some stuff on our own. We're not perfect, but damn, we made some pretty good strides, man. Mark has come tremendously a long way. If you knew Mark, you know what I'm talking about. One sec here, guys. So yeah, I mean, that's the back door, right? When you run into a brick wall, you got a kid with Down syndrome, go get the tag of ADHD. I mean, it's not lying. I mean, a high percentage of kiddos with ADHD, cerebral palsy, so on and so on, has it. But most parents don't even know it, right? Because we're just head over heels in that primary diagnosis. We don't even know, hey, oh, damn, I didn't know he had ADHD, right? It's so many behaviors that's tied into it. And the fact that you don't know the initial journey of the first diagnosis that you got, you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know. So in most cases, that's what happens. So I'm going to dive on in this, man. I'm going to roll my notes and I'm going to hit on some real shit. I'm going to shake you up a little bit, right? Why you have to find autism to get help and why that's a problem. Right? Let's be honest. And I'm just talking just here in Arizona. Of course, there's many other cities and states and everything else. Right? Arizona. If your child needs serious behavior or educational support, one diagnosis opens the door. Autism. Period. Point blank. Period. Point blank. If your child has Down syndrome or any other intellectual disabilities, those doors are mostly shut. Right? I mean, that's when the manipulation come in. That's when you got to try to find ways and all this other shit. Like, and then it's just so crazy because the system put it back on you, and then they hold some parents accountable for trying to lie about, having the autism tag on it. Well, damn, open the doors up. Right? Open the door. Why I can't find a facility called Down Syndrome Academy? Right? Why can't I find a facility called Cerebral Palsy Academy? Like, what the hell is going on? If your child has Down syndrome or any other intellectual disability, those doors will be shut. I say that twice for a reason, right? That's not because the needs aren't there. That's because the system is built wrong, right? And I'm not complaining about autistic individuals, right? Duh, my son has autism, right? I don't want them to get less. I just want us to get a little bit more or any help at that damn point, right? We should be able to get, I was going to say yellow pages, but we should be able to go online, put in Down syndrome, and then it should be a shitload of places for Down syndrome that are for schools and day therapies and stuff like that. That's out of order. That's out of pocket. I don't give a damn that's out of pocket. The core point, we built services around diagnosis instead of needs. And autism became the golden ticket, right? It's not like they really love autistic individuals or any families or anything at that point. Right, they're just a meal ticket, right? More people working with them. ABA is a goddamn cash cow. I'm I'm calling it like it is, right? If Down syndrome was popular and the funding was there for Down syndrome, damn, it'd be the same way, right? All right, Arizona Snapshot. Keep this in mind. Autism is prevalent in Arizona about 1 in 32 kids, right? Autism represents one of the largest special education categories in Arizona. Arizona has multiple autism-specific schools, dozens of ABA clinics and therapies and so on, right? Spanking new. Brand new. I mean, ice cream and soda and hell, the outside look like it's damn near, I was gonna say Wonderland or something. Or, Michael Jackson's backyard some damn where. That's what it looks like. They really go all in. Like, literally, you want services, you better get the autism mayonnaise and put that shit on your sandwich. Because you're not going to get anything with it, right? The entire autism service ecosystem, right? So now the contrast, Down syndrome. We're just working with Down syndrome right now, right? I can relate. 1 in 640 births. 2 Down syndrome specialty clinics statewide. 2. 0 Down syndrome specific schools. No statewide behavior or educational infrastructures built around it. Same states, same kids, very different systems. Let me say that again. Same state, same kids, very different systems. The myth that broke everything. Somehow we decided behavior belongs to autism. Come on now, y'all. I mean, damn. I mean, I got behavior. All kind of kids out here, they don't even have no Down syndrome or autism and got major behavior issues. So is it behavior or is it just the autistic tag that's on it that gets people paid? And that's sad. That's sad. And that's so sad that I know people and I have families that I reached out to that have both 3 or 4 different diagnoses in the family. They got 5 or 6 kids, different diagnoses, and you got one kid that's the cash cow and shit. And then you have one in the middle, and then you got one that just won't get nothing at all because it's just so much of a rare disorder or something to that effect. They don't even show no love. Reality, kids with Down syndrome, right, do have behavior challenges. I'm telling you, they do. They tear shit up. They have problems. They hit you. They hit each other. They hit themselves. They bite on each other. I can go on and on and on, right? Is it super prevalent? Maybe not so much. And that's the little crack in the road there where they kind of lean more towards autism than Downs. I mean, but damn, have something, right? Where's a school for Down syndrome? I challenge you guys, right? Tap in. Is there a school somewhere in the United States? Right, I'm not going to even go outside the country. I already know they don't give a damn. But, not them as an individual, but the system that surrounds them don't give a damn, right? So kiddos with intellectual disabilities. So do kids with cerebral palsy. So do kids with complex medical needs. Behavior is human. Autism doesn't own it. Let me say that one more time, people. Behavior is human. Autism doesn't own it. We want to tie it to there because it's a money move. We automatically just want to say, just like saying I'm black and I'm aggressive, or I'm a fighter, or I'm in and out of jail, or I ain't shit, right? You can't associate that. That's just what they want to do with autism. They want to associate it with behaviors and things to that effect because you got a couple folks here and there, whatever. I mean, I met some easygoing autistic individuals, right? I mean, on a high level, right? I mean, it's out there, right? But that don't mean that it's not prevalent, right? Why autism got everything, the money truth. Here it come, guys. I'm going to tap in again. Autism got insurance mandates. ABA became clearly billable, right? ABA, Applied Behavior Analysis, right? So it's this extensive behavior You have behavior therapy, which is somebody coming in your house, staying for like 30, 45 minutes. You get maybe 2 of those a week. But then you have ABA. ABA, I mean, you literally have somebody in your house for 8 hours following you around and shit. Like, it's real deep. It's really deep if you don't know, right? Schools and agencies follow the money. Schools and agencies follow the money. So there's also in emphasis where folks is misdiagnosed simply because, well, man, we get some extra money around here. It helps the programming out. We get an extra couple bucks and blah, blah, blah. Right? And I know a bunch of systems that if it wasn't for autism, this should be shut down. Right? Remember, I told you, grown folks talk, right? Entire systems were built, right? It's those what we're talking about, those key things right there. Meanwhile, Down syndrome got lumped under general ID services. No dedication, funding stream, no incentive to build schools or clinics. Autism didn't steal resources by far. They're totally innocent, right? And that's real. Everyone else was left out of the blueprint. Period, point blank. Man, I'm so glad. I hate it, but damn, I'm glad my son got some sort of diagnosis on him with autism, right? And I'm not glad in the sense like, hey, ching, ching, ching. But damn, like, I mean, if that's gonna, get us to skip the line, and it's like so clear cut with my son, it's like unreal. All right, the uncomfortable reality. All right, get ready, buckle up, shake your shit off, right? Families shouldn't feel pressure to chase an autism label just to get help, right? We shouldn't have to do that, but yeah, it's there, it's real. I said it, right? But it happens because services are locked behind diagnosis, not behind actual needs. That's not fraud. That's survival in a broken system, right? Damn, we're a byproduct of that all the way over again, right? And it's so crazy because when you think about, when you have a special need loved one or something to that effect, and you got everybody, man, they can roll in services. They have so many damn services that you need to be, You need to be full time just to sit back and rotate their ass, right? At one point, man, like literally, if I was to get service, every services that are available to my son, it'd be a job for me to coordinate their ass in and out of my house, right? But they don't want to give me nothing. You don't want to give me nothing. I can teach my kid. I can service my own damn kid, but you won't give me nothing because that's my kid. That's bogus, right? Everybody else sit around here and roll out their fancy suitcases and laptops and all that kind of shit. And, you know what I mean? That's just bull. That's bull to me. I'm sorry. Everybody want to eat off of your kid, but then, hell, we got to struggle just to get parent provider pay or something to that effect. We last on the damn list. And it clearly is about money. I said it, I mean it. If I'm gonna speak up for the people who ain't speaking up. How about that? And I'm gonna do something about it. And I've been doing something about it. The alternative is this. So I said, needs-based care, not diagnosis-based, right? If a child has behavior challenges, communication delays, safety issues, regulation problems, damn, that's cold red my son, right? They should qualify regardless of a diagnosis, right? Let me say this one more time up in here, right? If your child has behavior challenges, communication delays, safety issues, regulation problems as well. Well, I could tie real quick. I could tie this real quick to my son. And he should be a damn no-brainer for ABA and any other service out there, right? One, his behavior. Yes, he has behavior issues like a mad dog. He can't sit still. He's constantly in the shit. Safety is an issue. Communication, he lacks that because he's probably about 40 to 50% nonverbal, you know what I mean? So he's got a whole lot to learn to communicate. He can't hold a conversation with anybody, right? Regulation problems and stuff. That is totally this dude. Just the safety alone supersedes all that junk. They should have they should qualify regardless of a diagnosis. So here, DD, which we talked about, right? Behavior and skill programs. Not autism only, not ABA only, right? Let's talk a little bit about what it should look like, right? Programs for Down syndrome, intellectual disability, cerebral palsy, complex learners, right? Focus on behavior, communication, regulation, and life skills, right? Those are heavy issues. Number 3, developmental disability centered schools. Man, this is ideal. Now we didn't kind of went into what we project. What this would be nice to have something like this for those other kiddos that doesn't have an autistic label attached to them. So developmental disabled centered schools, right? Not labeled by diagnosis, designed by function. If we can build autism schools, we can build DD schools. Let me run this back one more time, guys. Right, I got my cocktail for the night, so I'm a little off beat, but I'll be damned if I don't give it to you. Now, once again. Now we rolling into what should be out there, right? Right? DD, we talked about what those DD, dual diagnose, right? We're talking those kind of programs, right? If you got multiple stuff kind of going on, the other folks of the world, right? Not autism only, not ABA only. I'm just pipe dreaming, right? These would be programs for Down syndrome, intellectual disability, cerebral palsy, complex learners, all that. And really they, autism kind of tie in that as well, be honest, right? Focus on behavior, communication, regulation, and life skills. That is core, especially for my kiddo right now, right? When they get past those double digits, that's young man time, young woman time. Now we're rolling into life shit now, right? Developmental disability centered schools, not labeled for diagnose, designed by function. I'm going to read it again. If we can build autism schools, we can build other schools, right? That's about the size of that. The line that sums it up. Autism isn't overserved. right? I'm not saying they, autistic population or community, they overserve and they get it all. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is Down syndrome and other disabilities are underserved, and until we admit that, nothing is going to change, right? It's clearly a money. It's clearly a money bag. Let's just call it what it is. So much to the point where, like, agencies like mine, Down Syndrome Forgotten. I have outside of behind closed doors. I also have a nonprofit. I'm struggling and been struggling. We've been around for about 9 years, and I'm gonna tell you guys, even the funding is not there. Now I'm not talking as a parent. I'm talking as a provider. I'm talking as an executive director. I'm talking about somebody that runs an organization. Right? It's so lopsided, meaning like you force people to get into another stratosphere because of funding. Funding becomes an issue. Now it's not a matter of if Down syndrome, I got to sprinkle in and I got to take my Down syndrome and I got to wrap it up in autistic paper in order for me to get some damn funding. That's out of pocket. I don't give a damn what nobody say. I don't care what tie you wear, what office you represent, what organization you part of. That's out of order, and I'll take on the best of them. Come on, holler at your boy. I'll hit any pattern. All right. Anyways, we're gonna close, right? We're gonna close with this, right? What services did you struggle with to access because your child didn't have autistic diagnosis? Once again, I'm tapping into my viewers now, guys. I want to know what. Come on, holler at your boy. Let me know what services did you guys, comments, DMs, you can also tap into my podcast, which you're on now. Ultimately, you can go into Caregiver's Chronicle, right? Or you can also chit chat in there. We also have a private group. I will be talking about that as well. That's behind closed doors group. That's a lot more personal, interpersonal, or you can just simply DM me, right? You can email me, right? I want to know. I'm like Joe. I want to know. Right? Why are you struggling? And most of the people that I'm talking about primarily is people that's just getting in the system, trying to get something established for their special needs loved one, their Down syndrome related loved one, their cerebral palsy one. I can go down the line. I actually got, like I said, I got videos, I got all kinds of documentation and everything, all in Caregiver's Chronicle, talking about the different diagnoses and things to that effect. I'm no stranger to none of that, right? I'm here for everybody, right? Through Caregiver's Chronicles, right? We're here for the people that take care of those people, right? Because I know you got to do that first. Meaning, I can't go into a family. They have a special needs child, maybe let's say Down syndrome or autism, right? I can't get in there. I can't do a damn thing for that individual kid if I don't have the parent or the caregiver aboard. If we not on the same page, then fine. And it took me a long time to figure that out. Right? That I had to really get in there and crack the parent. I had to get in there and crack the whip on the damn caregivers and things like that. They were in the way. And I actually got a video on that too. Like, get your ass out the way. You're in your own loved one's way, whether it's special need, whether it's whatever. A lot of time it's the caregiver that's in the way of getting the help for the special need loved one. Let's just be quite honest, right? That I gave it to you, right? They got a problem with them, send them my way. I had no problem. I handle them high and low. But yeah, guys, that's what the conversation is today, right? Just to kind of recap, we're talking about, the indifference that has become, with the autism versus everything else. Because that's really what it is. Right. And then if you're lucky, you get into the IDD realm. Right. So you can look up there. So you got families out there that, maybe you clear cut don't have any autistic behaviors there. You don't have any behaviors there, whatever. You can tap into an intellectual disability kind of facility. They can help you. Right. You know what I mean? You may, but it's just a damn shame that it has to come to that. I mean, literally, you have parents, you have caregivers, you have the system out here putting tags on people just to get the ball rolling on them, right? And to be honest with you, this is nothing new. Nothing new. Like I said before, caregiving and special needs go back in my family. Like I said, my younger brother, same thing, right? He just wasn't tagged right, right? I mean, if he was tagged with autism, if he was tagged, if autism was present, what was that other label? I can't think of the name of what the autism wasn't the big fancy name back then. It was called something else. Put it in the comment box if you can think about it. I forgot what they call it. I mean, they did lump up a lot of those different diagnoses and stuff like that. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I grew up, 70s. I'm a 70s and 80s baby, right? We grew up around there where they didn't diagnose nobody, right? If you couldn't keep up with the rest of the litter, you were straight out ass retarded, period. That was it. Now, I hate the word, all that stuff. You sensitive over it, but whatever, right? I'm just telling you what was going on. You was the little bus. You was retarded. You was slow. You was stupid. Something was wrong with you. That was your damn diagnosis. Now we getting to the point now with technology and everything kind of, made its way. Now we labeling things the way the shit's supposed to be labeled. Right? But it's clear. They took autism and said, damn, this is our money cow right here. Let's run with this one. The rest of them, they get the crumbs and shit what's left. Or y'all split what was left, right? If it's 100, autism get 50, everybody else get 50, and y'all split all that shit up. Good luck. Whatever diagnosed, whatever you got going on. Right? That's just the way it is right now. And it shouldn't be that way. So, guys, yes, I did want to tap on this, man. Roll, baby, roll. Let the comments roll. Come on my way. Come on my way, because this stuff is out of pocket. I guarantee you I'll have a rebuttal. I guarantee you I have a rebuttal. Because one thing about me, I'm coming from a perspective of past history, experiences, and everything like that, right? I have lived in experience, right? I'm sitting here living it all way, right? I don't know it all, but damn, I know quite a bit. So, guys, man, thank you for chiming in. Hopefully, this piece of information will get you just right. Like I said, this is part one. This is part one. We're talking about autism and how that's kind of favored in society, and everything else is kind of like, afterthought, right? But believe it or not, just kind of tapping into what my next video going to be. We're talking about how, like, as it pertains to the elderly care unit, how everything else is kind of, I guess the brother of autism is Alzheimer's, right? Alzheimer's, that's a big one. That's the money cow. If you got a loved one, an elderly care loved one with anything else, if it ain't dementia or Alzheimer's, like that community right there, they got all the goddamn paper. Let's just call it like it is, right? I've been there, I've done that. Right? I'm sitting there trying to get my mom's services and all that. And it came down to it that we had to go see a head doctor and get that labeled properly. And then the help came rolling in. That's out of pocket. I had to go diagnose my mama with this junk just to get her to get up. And it was there though. Man, she was easy. But I'm not just talking about her. I deal with tons of families right now on the comments, probably rolling right now. Right? I'm telling you, as soon as I get done with you guys, I got to go on Instagram and go on Facebook. I'm sure I got thousands of messages right there waiting on me. Like, Mark, what's up? You know what I mean? And I'm here. That's what I do for you, right? And once again, this is the channel that we provide. It's solely for the caregivers of the world. If it ain't you, man, turn the damn channel. If it don't work for you, if it's too aggressive for you, whatever, right? I'm passionate and I'm going to give it this way because this is how the world been giving it to us. I'll holler. You guys take it easy.